Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new stunning and brave individual. Shout out to Sophie Rebecca, just living her best life. Meet the 6'3", I'm sorry, Ollie, a stunning and brave ballerina. 6'3". Bruh, you gotta see this dude dance too, with a mediocre talent for ballet. Oh yeah, we've seen some video. Who was accepted to the prestigious Royal Academy of Dance back in 2017, one of the world's top ballet schools. Like, okay, listen, I don't even know ballet like that, but that's a big bitch, okay? Like, you take a look at that and it's like, what about that screams? Just those shoulders right there already just lets me know that there's not going to be a lot of lateral movement. There's not going to be a lot of grace on that's feet, but maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm judging a book by its cover, but it's included in this video. You know exactly what time it is. Thousands of extremely talented women and girls apply for the academy each year. Yeah, but they aren't 6'3", so sucks to suck, I guess. But yeah, here we have an actual ballerina versus our man right here. Holy, are you sure? It's like, okay, cool. So we're going to infiltrate all of these different spaces. That's what these trans athletes. And again, like ballet, I don't like it like that or anything like that. I've hooked up with some dancers in the past. Terrific, flexible, wonderful, slight individuals. As opposed to that, what, is he there to tear down the set? Like, I don't, and then just decided to slip on a onesie and like, oh yeah, Buffalo Bill style. But yeah, clearly, yeah, the man has no place in the school to tick the diversity box. Yeah, because he's trans. But also, I'll let it play here for a second. We don't need any of the music or anything like that because it's going to be very loud. But yo, man, I've seen the video and it's like, okay, I'm sure that was probably a camera that was mounted on like a cinder block or something like that, because that's a big bitch right there, and still just a moving it all over the place. But as you can see, somebody actually has poison grace, and the other one just looks like your drunk aunt. Okay, at the family reunion, it's not talent. Okay, and just there's no grace there at all whatsoever. And you get accepted to the Royal Academy of Dance? Yeah, I don't really think so, man. But at least, holy shit, man. Maybe our guy, what was our guy's name? Sophie. Maybe Sophie learned quite a bit during their time there, and their performance is top tier now. Highly doubt it though, but you know, shout out, because normally you only see, you know, acceptance to these prestigious institutions. Normally you only see the bar lowered for women, but hey man, you hear everybody bitching, moaning, whining, and complaining when it just happens where the dude finally gets the lower standards in order to get in, and now everybody wants to throw a fit. I think that's incredibly bigoted. But it's another day, and it's another absolute travesty for Bud Light. You love to see it, okay? Because this is the first time in a long time that there's actual consequences, that there is a direct correlation between going woke and getting broke. Because normally, and I've heard Razor Fist opine on this, and shout out to him, okay? He said his theory behind this is get broke, then go woke. Because you take a look at some of the big companies that are out there. Who's actually gone broke off of the back of all of this stuff? Okay, like Disney's been hurling out their shit product for a very long time. Like, yeah, okay, their stock's gonna go down. Okay, they keep losing money. Are they actually broke though? Or are they correcting course so that... No, of course not. You take a listen to all of the stockholder hearings that Bob Iger was just on, and no, we're just going to double, triple, quadruple down. More gays, more remakes that you don't want, just infusing all of our woke practices that are in there. We're not going to fire anybody up at the top that's ultimately making these shit decisions. You don't like any of the stuff that's out there right now? Tough titties. We don't cater to bigots. Nike, remember when Nike sponsored Colin Kaepernick? What was that? Like almost a decade ago at this point? Yeah, these big companies making all these decisions, they're doing all right. in the grand scheme of things, sure, they catch a little bit of shit in the short term, but I don't think I've ever seen it this intense. This one might actually be the turning point, okay? Shout out, if your face is not feeling as soft as it could be, go get some oil or some Olay, because I seen a really good commercial on it yesterday. Anyways, Nashville country star John Rich pulls Bud Light from his popular Redneck Riviera bar, saying customers are not ordering the venue's once top-selling brand after Mulvaney BACKLASH. Yeah, but I heard yesterday too from the VP, and check out that video. I dropped it, unfortunately, like way too late in the day, and nobody really seen it, but I like it, and we covered a bunch of interesting stuff that's in there as well. But the way that the VP wanted to characterize, I forget her name, she's just so foot-like in the facial features, and then she's just so regrettable. But one of her statements was, the Bud Light is a dying brand, okay, we need to revitalize it, we need to get rid of its like fratty undertones, and we need to bring it to a wider market, which is code for, yeah, we need to sell it to bitches because they're buying all those White Claws, and we need to break into the seltzer market. And it's like, okay, we'll just do that. You can still have your old product that all the old boys like, and you could do whatever the fuck you want. You could have Bud Zero and whatever the fuck else you want to do. I don't know. There's a multitude of different things besides hiring a tranny that is literally going to appeal to fucking nobody, but you do you. And now you got to live with the consequences. We've got cases and cases sitting in the back. And this has only been like a week. Only been like a little bit better than a week. And already just everybody is just dropping it. And yeah, shout out to John Rich for actually backing up his actions. Because him, along with Travis Tritt, said that, yeah, I'm writing out any Anheuser-Busch products from my rider while I'm going to be on tour, and he's a part of some big tours, a lot of big festivals, and it's that time of the year where all of those, festivals are going to be starting up. And country music, if you don't know, okay, or you just immediately have that visceral reaction to it, like I do, it's still a gigantic touring act, and a lot of mid-tier white women love country music, okay? So given the fact that you have one of the big stars in country music pulling that shit out of their rider, there's a bunch of other people that aren't quite as established as Travis Tritt that are also of the same wavelength, of the same thought process, that are also just gonna get rid of that shit, okay? They're more than happy to support local breweries and then just the smaller businesses, because when there's an opening out there, if there's opportunistic businessmen and some entrepreneurs that have been much maligned by this group of people with their shitty line of thinking, then hey man, they're going to fill the gap in this one, and they're going to profit. Bud Light is going to continue to fail until they realize the error in their ways, but chances of that happening, slim and fucking none. But a little bit of this before we go on to a much more wider spectrum, because you might just think, oh no, this is just one popular bar. Well, that's fine. There's other places that can carry it. Not for long. Country music star John Rich has joined Travis Tritt and Kid Rock in boycotting Bud Light. He was a part of that to begin with, okay? He made the proclamation alongside Travis Tritt at the same time. He didn't make a video like Kid Rock did by, blowing up a 24-pack. Is that what I don't drink beer. I have no idea. I've been boycotting this shit since day one. In boycotting a Bud Light, has the controversy over the beer giant retaining trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney as an ambassador rages on. During an appearance on Tucker Carlson tonight on Monday, Rich confirmed that he was removing the beer from his Nashville bar. Nashville, huh? Interesting. Okay, Redneck Riviera. The customer decides. Customers are king. Again, this is just such a foreign concept whenever it comes to discussing popular media, okay, or just advertising in general. He says that the customer is king and he's going to do what his customers want. Meanwhile, the people who are making the decision for these companies that are in the midst of boycotts, I don't give a fuck what the customer has to say about that. We're pushing trans rights, you goddamn bigots, and if you don't get in line, we're just going to call you bigots harder, which will eventually work. I don't know. Were you beat as a kid or something like that? I don't know. But yes, I own a bar in downtown Nashville. Our number one selling beer up until a few weeks ago was what? Bud Light. No, it's a dying brand. Unfucking believable. We got cases and cases of it sitting back there. But in the past several days, you're hard-pressed to find anyone ordering one. Yeah, exactly. Because this transcends social media. Like, this shit is popping everywhere, and if you don't know specifically about this story, chances are somebody in your atmosphere or somebody in your inner circle has probably heard about this as well. So by proxy, you've heard about this backlash. So as a business owner, I go, hey, if you aren't ordering it, we got to put something else in here, and at the end of the day, that's capitalism. That's how it worked. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the feeling that a bunch of other businesses have, and probably the biggest corporation self-oof I can think about in a very long time. Like, this is definitely the most successful one, the more that I think about it, but hey man, Bud Light distributors spooked by, not like that, but just like actually scared, by backlash to Dylan Mulvaney partnership. Yeah, it's not going great, is it? Anheuser-Busch distributors in the South were spooked by the widespread backlash Bud Light received after teaming up with transgender social media star Dylan Mulvaney. An intense opposition to Mulvaney promoting the beer has been alarming to Anheuser-Busch distributors, which placed few orders after the partnership sparked outrage from conservatives who argued the company is pushing agenda propaganda. Yeah, that's basically what it is, because if Dylan Mulvaney was known for anything other than just wearing like XX extra small tank tops and pretending to be the most flamboyant female you've ever seen in your life, like if they had something going for them, if this was sponsorship by somebody akin to like a Blair White but on the left, didn't make it all about the fact that they're a trans person, it would be a different story. But no, that's Dylan's entire gimmick. 365 days of girlhood? Really? You're only a year old. Is that... No? Oh, okay, cool. So that's your entire brand, and you want to attach that to beer and makeup, huh? That's very interesting. That's an interesting idea that you have right there. It's not going to work. We've reached out to a handful of Anheuser-Busch distributors who were spooked, most particularly in the heartland and the South. Yeah, exactly. This is a coastal issue, okay? All of this trans nonsense, it plays extremely well in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, all the way up the west, and then it stops about halfway through the East Coast. The middle of the country, we're good, hardworking Americans who just take a look at this shit and realize it's like, I don't really discuss race all that much. This trans shit, the fuck? You guys are chopping kids' dicks off? The fuck is wrong with you? They just want to live their life. They just want to be successful in spite of all of this nonsense and a government that they, well, for the most part, those people didn't vote for. What their grandparents who have been long dead voted for is a completely different question. They don't want to have to deal with any of that shit. If they want to have a beer at the end of the day, they don't want to have to make a political statement associated with that. So it's like, yeah, if I can just go out there and have, something that isn't going to be in a rainbow or a dick-shaped can, that's fan-fucking-tastic, okay? If I don't have to drink, mediocre, piss-warm Bud Light, fan-fucking-tastic. I'll go ahead and do that, but hey, man, AB made their bed, now they gotta lie in it. Sucks to suck. A Beer Business Daily said it assessed the situation purely from a marketing and sales perspective, noting that current data are very limited. Yeah, it's only been a week. That's why I'm a little bit sketchy, and again, I don't know all the ins and outs about alcohol, so how well all of this stuff keeps, I don't really know, okay? So to say that, sales have dropped like 80%, it's like, where are you getting the numbers? It's very, very, very quick that all of this stuff has happened. It's been a fierce backlash, but how are you getting your numbers? That doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. So I do agree with Beer Business Daily here. It's very early, but noting that current data is very limited, it appears likely Bud Light took a volume hit in some markets over the holiday weekend. Yeah, that kind of sucks. And another big test, okay, if they can continue to keep this going all the way through Memorial Day, which is just a couple short weeks away, oh, brother, it's going to, well, brother and sister, sorry, need to be inclusive when it comes to this stuff. We're on YouTube after all. So, whether it lasts or whether the publicity sparks incremental offsetting demand over the ideological divide in metro areas remains to be seen. Yeah, given the fact that this is a beer and Bush brands in general are supposed to be, or at least they're marketed towards, back in the cut before that ideological bigot showed up in the VP's office. It's a blue collar brand. It's not represented by some goofy dude in a fucking bathtub. That shit's weird. The publication wrote, adding that it would be difficult for Bud Light to appeal to the sensitivities of a new generation of drinkers who aren't drinking this shit to begin with. They're drinking craft beer or I don't know what fucking, young bucks are drinking out there. Now, come out of their brother's ass. I don't know, man. I've never seen the country so hotly divided, sadly, the author of the report wrote. No. Everybody's pretty stringent on their principles when it comes to this one. Okay, the right sees this stuff. It's like, I just want beer, bro. And the other side is like, we don't drink Bud Light. And then it's like, futz. Stopped again. Mulvaney, a popular TikTok influencer, which whenever I read that influencer tag, I want to crush a full can of Bud Light on my forehead. Influencer and particularly popular among Gen Z. Can we quantify that? Or is it just a bunch of maladjusted mental patients who just oh my god, I can be popular too by, pretending to be the other sex? Fantastic. Ugh. Bud Light stood behind its decision to enlist Mulvaney, noting the brand works with hundreds of influencers to connect with all of its customers. How many of this high profile? How many of this, a gender persuasion? Anheuser-Busch works with hundreds of influencers across our brands as one of the many ways to authentically connect to audiences. Well, it's not working in this case now, is it? Across various demographics and passion points. Okay. With all of this backlash that's out there right now, and it's just those dastardly right-wingers, they're just making all of this noise right now. What if you had an influencer? What if you had an influencer that you caught on camera, Heaven forbid that it would actually be like a straight white male or something like that. And you caught him on tape saying the N-word. Caught him on tape just making a joke, dropping an N-bomb. How quickly would that relationship evaporate? I'm just wondering, man. I'm just wondering, because you stick right behind your trans queens. But would that same amount of grace be afforded for any other demographic? I'm just wondering. Is it a blanket policy or is it a person by person? Is it a clout by clout assessment? Wondering. From time to time, we produce unique commemorative cans, not Dylan's, for fans and for brand influencers like Dylan Mulvaney. The commemorative can was a gift to celebrate a personal milestone and is not for sale to the general public. Yeah, mostly because nobody wants that, But hey, man, good news about that one right there. That's the last one that is ever going to be consumed coming off the Bud Light production line until they right the ship. But hey, man, we've seen from every other business that's out there, they're just going to double down on this dumb shit. So with all of that said, oh, yes, and I forgot to mention this in the previous video, but I'll be going live very, very shortly by the time that you hear this. We've got, do I even got the video pulled up? I actually do have the video pulled up. We're going to be talking about this roundtable that Jubilee just dropped a couple of days ago between male feminists, which make me want to die inside, and female anti-feminists, which might have a spicy take on when it comes to that demographic. The group that they're trying to appeal to, but I see some faces that I do recognize in the crowd right there. So it's going to be a fun one. I think the video is like an hour long. It's just about an hour long, so we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. And yeah, no Dylan Mulvaney shit, but hey, man, we got to keep this stuff going because it continues to get insane. And realistically, man, nothing could be any fucking weirder than, a 6'3" a trans ballerina. Fuck is this world coming to? So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.